Hello, my name is Mandy Christian, and I will be speaking to you today about the article in American Psychology, the January 2000 issue, titled Positive Psychology, an Introduction by Martin E. P. Seligman and Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. In this presentation, I will discuss a personal story from each of the two authors, and I will encapsulate the 15 articles and the 3 topics discussed throughout. Martin E. P. Seligman had a moment with his 5-year-old daughter, Nikki, which changed his life. Nikki explained that she didn't want to be a whiner anymore, and she had to do this on her own. And to do that, it was really hard. But if she could do it, then he could stop being a grouch. He resolved to change at that moment. He realized that raising children is more than fixing their weaknesses, but is also about nurturing their strengths. Mr. Seligman mentions how there has been huge strides in the understanding of and therapy of mental illness, but making lives better and nurturing genius were all but forgotten. Mihai Csikszentmihalyi witnessed as a child in Europe during World War II people who were once successful and self-confident had become helpless and hopeless. Others who were not as skilled or respected had this sense of optimism. This made him wonder what source of strength were these people drawing from. He concludes the treatment is not just fixing what is broken, but it's nurturing what is best. Within the 15 articles, there are 3 main topics that are addressed. 1. Positive experience. This includes optimal experience, happiness, self-determination, and the relationship between positive emotions and physical health. 2. Positive personality. This includes self-determination, self-direction, self-organizing, and adapting. And 3. People and experiences are implanted in a social context, which includes the necessity of cultural norms to relieve individuals of the burden of choice, the effects of families on the development of ability, and the contributions of social relationships. There are 4 different perspectives mentioned within the 15 articles. The first is evolutionary, which states that because our environments are so different from our ancestors to which our bodies and minds have adapted, they don't always align with modern surroundings. The second perspective is positive personal traits, which states that positive personality traits, again that's self-determination, self-direction, contribute to positive psychology. The third perspective deals with the implications for mental and physical health. How does mental health look when seen from the perspective of positive psychology? Can unrealistic optimistic beliefs about the future protect people from illness? And the fourth perspective addresses the need to foster excellence and not just help those who suffer. While these articles help to explain the need for positive psychology, there are many challenges for the future. One being the calculus of well-being. This is adding up someone's positive events and subtracting the negative events, and one should get to a sum that represents a person's overall well-being. But as stated in the article, what makes people happy in small doses does not necessarily add satisfaction in larger amounts. Another is the development of positivity. What makes someone happy at a particular point in life, say a teenager, may not make that person happy later in life. Neuroscience and heritability. While the neurochemistry and the pharmacology on pathways to diseases have been identified, their opposites have gone unstudied. Similarly, what is the genetic component of positive experience and positive traits? Enjoyment versus pleasure. Enjoyment refers to the good feelings when someone does something that stretches them beyond their limits, such as an interesting debate. This can lead to long-term happiness and growth. Pleasure is the good feeling that comes from satisfying needs like hunger and sex. But when given the chance, most people choose pleasure over enjoyment. Why is this? Collective well-being. The issue of the balance of the individual and the collective well-being. What's good for the goose might not be good for the gander. The authenticity. Do negative traits come from positive traits, or are they separate? If so, how do they interact? Do you need to suffer in order to experience positive emotion? Another is buffering. How do psychologists build up hope or encourage to buffer against future depression or substance abuse? Another is descriptive or prescriptive. Descriptive approach would create a matrix describing what abilities under what certain conditions lead to certain outcomes. Clinical psychology is prescriptive in that the paths for mental illness are not only described but are also desirable. And finally, realism. Can a person fighting a life-threatening disease be happy while approaching life realistically, or can optimism itself be the cure? In August of this year, the Huffington Post ran an article about the International Positive Psychology Association's third biannual World Congress on Positive Psychology in Los Angeles. There were 4 days of workshops, and one of the keynote speakers was Martin Seligman. The author describes how positive psychology is not a trend, but an exciting science that deserves more attention. She left the Congress with 3 insights. 1. Look for a meaningful life. Focusing on the future can bring meaning into our lives, while also being happy in the present. 2. Detaching from work is a good thing, for most of us. Detaching psychologically from the stress from work is important. Perhaps not thinking about work on the weekends or after arriving home could help. Employees who have strong positive emotions at work, such as firefighters who feel that their job provides a positive social impact, may benefit from not detaching. And 3, we shape our dwellings, and afterwards our dwellings shape us. When our biological needs are met by the environment, it leads to a greater well-being. Having outdoor spaces have shown to reduce stress to the people who live there. In the future, we need to conduct more research. We have decades of research analyzing negative experiences and negative emotions. As with other sciences, as stated by Newton, for every action there is an equal but opposite reaction. It is time that psychologists help individuals and communities to prosper, not just survive. My 2 references are listed for you. Thank you very much for listening to me today. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at chri480@gmail.com.